otherwise I'd have told you how I really feel about you.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Just 1 week ago, it was a chaotic run to the finish in Canada. Mick Claridge had led a majority of the race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, was ahead by as much as nearly 2 seconds, before 2019 Season 4 Lotus 49 F1 champion Rob Olenek, Norwegian driver Ove Trangeroyd, clawed him back in within 5 laps to go. However, when it comes to that circuit in the run to White's Corner, danger can strike at any time, and last week it did when Claridge and Olenek touched tires and crashed, sending the two cars into the left side of the racetrack. Both Drangerway went on to secure the W to open the campaign. The others finished 4th and 5th. This morning, though, those drivers and more have made their way to the UK to face a whole different kind of track to battle on. We're about to see who can win the second round of the season, live on the Global SimRacing channel in the iRacing Esports Network. Hello everyone, and welcome to this morning's coverage of the Grand Prix Legend Series, live from the virtual Silverstone circuit in North Hampshire, England, for the second round of the Lotus 49 World Championship season. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth today is Adam Young, and our director today is Sean Ambrose. He's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Adam, today is going to be an interesting race as we're at a track with a lot of history in regards to open wheel racing, to say the very least, over the decades. In fact, the first host of an F1 Grand Prix. But we're at a version and layout of the circuit that this car did not see in its heyday. What can you tell us about the modern day Silverstone?
Yeah, Silverstone nowadays in its current configuration, well, again, track distance about 3.19 miles. We're running the 18-turn layout here, the Grand Prix layout on the new course. You got two areas that kind of look like the start-finish line, but only one really is, and that'll be the one that comes out of Vale and then Club, and then you'll see that here as we go through the broadcast. But hey, let's learn a little bit more about Silverstone with today's track guide.
Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 3 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 18 turns along 3.19 miles. That comes out to 5.13 kilometers in metrics, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the high-speed straights and corners and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is most definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. However, don't discount the first couple corners in this latest iteration of the track. Abbey and Farm often require a greatly balanced car and some serious bravery if you're side-by-side. Corners such as Village, Brooklyn, Stowe, and Vale see the majority of overtaking action, but in cars with less horsepower, expect the draft to offer other opportunities. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting.
That was a look at your GSRC lap guide for the best way to get around Silverstone. Now let's take a look at your Drivers' Championships, first with the F1 Championship for the Grand Prix Legends. This is an open championship to drivers with an I rating over 2,500 or anyone under that point wishing to participate. And after the first round, Ulf Traeger is on top of the board, followed by Roman Pavlovsky with Bruce Nelson, Mick Claridge, and Rob Olenek rounding out the top 5 of the point standings. How it's essentially sorted: 50 for the winner, 45 for second, 40, 37, 34, and on downward all the way to 1 point for 25th position. There is also an F2 championship for those that have an I rating under 2,500, as well as based on their first performance of the season. Antonio Rels is on top of that board with Bill Tyler, Matt Yeomans, along with Colin Coker and Andreas Bruno, rounding out the top 5 for that standings. There is also the Nations Cup, which is in the run of the spirit of the 1967 Formula One Constructors' Championship, but the top placing driver in each country scoring points for their nation. In last round's case, it was Norway, followed by Germany, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Portugal inside the top 5. Also had Australia, Argentina, and Slovakia also represented in that championship fight in round number 1. Now, as we get ready to look at the race details, Adam, what can you tell us about, in terms of the details, what to expect for today's round, Adam?
Well, of course, running in the middle of the day during the afternoon hours, so that's going to be make these cars a little bit slicker than what they normally are, and these handle very, very tricky. It's quite an amazing drive if you ever get a chance. Of course, we're running round 2 of 12 here. This is an official series iRacing race, so we'll be following those official rules, including the fact that it's an open setup. We're running 18 laps, but the big part is you get they've modified now the instance here where you get 17, you get to get a drive-through penalty, and 25 is a DQ. Remember, that's going to be something new on the latest iRacing build. So that'll be interesting out there for today. The particulars with the car, though, of course, with the Lotus 79, also restricted to recommended fuel they give the cars with that open setup of 7 gallons. Who follows it? Who doesn't? Well, we'll see. But it has been known to kind of shake things up a little bit, and fuel really affects the handling of these cars.
Indeed, an 18-lap distance, as noted on that graphic as well. An estimated 35 minutes in distance for these drivers. A grand total of 21 are currently in the session for the drivers, making their way around for qualifying. You see the times on the left side of your screen. Old Triangle Lake currently on top of the board with a 1:59.3. Bill Tyler, as well as Marco Okika with Colin Coker and Andreas Bruno also putting in times with Ian Bazzi and as well Roman Pavlovsky at this point. Let's quickly take a glance at the track conditions because they are fairly on the cool side, but it's still, as mentioned, a bit of a slick track for these cars. 81 degrees Fahrenheit, 65 degrees air temp, low winds at about 1 to 2 miles an hour to the west at the moment, Adam.
Yeah, and those light winds obviously really won't affect the car, but when it gets cool like this, and then you also have the sun beating on the track, you'll have that, you'll ultimately, as the day goes along, because right now, in what we always like to call virtual standard time, it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's peak heating time. So as the race goes along, be looking for that track temperature to go up, even if the air temperature doesn't necessarily.
And we were actually talking with Mick Claridge, the driver you're following along with now for qualifying on his second lap attempt. He was expecting the race to be very close today. In fact, a lot of official races have happened throughout the nighttime and the evenings across the iRacing service. Had said everyone was basically on top of each other in terms of pace throughout the entire week. That in turn, Adam, can make it very interesting when the racing gets underway here today.
Yeah, and especially Silverstone, its layout lends to that. It's nice and wide in many areas, especially in this car. It will generate its own passing areas in a way. So that look for it to be pretty interesting.
P2 for Mick Claridge on the board, just about half a tenth behind Ove Trangerlade in qualifying. Olenek, meanwhile, by the way, is in third at the moment. We're taking a look at him right now as he looks to bump up his time on his second way around. The Dirty Truck driver running along the rumble strips again has set a 1:59.720 on his first lap attempt to get him inside row number 2. Making his way through club. Take a listen as he revs that engine towards the stripe. And will he be able to bump up the time? Having to play with the throttle, a 1:59.444 does improve his time, but not enough to move up a spot out.
Yeah, that's even though we're expecting tight racing today, you still want to be able to have that good launch trying to come to the line. And, so he's going to have to fight a little harder. Watch Daniel Sadro coming around here, going to try to set his first time. Saw when that came out, that put him 5th. Now watching Andrew Eng. Andrew also coming around here for the first time, see what he's able to do.
Yes, indeed. Again, coming into that club section out of Vale. Total of 9 right-handers, 9 left right-handers on this circuit as he makes his way through the last of the right-hand turns in his number 17 Lotus 49. A bit of a slower run this time, not going to the outside rumble strips. We'll see if he sets a time. This is his second lap attempt. Coming to his second lap attempt, rather, did not set an official time of lap 1. And that is it. Not enough time to do so, it looks like, Adam, as we get ready for today's starting grid. Drivers are all set to go. 12 officially put in times, with Ove Trangerlade on top of the board. Mick Claridge in second with a 1:59.404, with Rob Olenek in third. Behind them is Roman Pavlovsky with Daniel Sadro in the 5th spot. Bill Tyler starts in 6th with Marco Kika in 7th. Bruce Nelson will start in P number 8 in the number 10 machine, with Matt Yeomans looking to say yo towards the podium from 9th position in the 202s. Colin Coker rounds out your top 10, Adam.
Yeah, going to 11th and 12th. These are the last two guys that actually set times. You'll find Andres Bruno and Ian Bassi back there. Michel Dugnon is going to be in row 7 alongside him, Jan Hoffman. In row 8, Bora Casal and Osmar Schultz will be making up row 8. Row 9 is going to go Colin Bentley and Andrew Ing. So he's going to be starting a long ways back there today. Robert Reynolds and Rodney Evans will make up row 10. And only one more on the grid, and that is Jasmine Beach. And just to make sure that they are, in fact, in the session, I do see them in here. So we'll start 21 cars today.
Yes, indeed, all 21 drivers just about to make their way to the grid about a minute or so before we get the green lights to get racing. Your keys to victory today.
Stay smooth, stay consistent, don't let the car get the better of you, and get a good start right here.
Indeed, just waiting on 2 more drivers to make to the grid. In Trangerlade, we're also waiting at the moment for Pawlowski before they take to the field. As again, it's a bit of a shorter run towards Abbey for the start of this race. Remember, the finishing line is about 200 to 300 feet further back. For the drivers, all of them have just made their way to the grid and are set to rev their engines. We're all set to go for Grand Prix Legends racing action. We're underway from Silverstone. And already 3 wide dive bombs in the back of the field as everyone makes the way through Abbey and through the farm curve all the way to Village.
It looks like everybody got through clean, though, even though there were some big moves to be had. Little bit of action there between Bill Tyler and Bruce Nelson, but that's about all I see here so far.
Top 5 off to a good start as well, making out the top 3. Olenek able to pull away a bit from Pawlowski. As Sandro tries to fall inside the draft, there are a lot of longer straightaways here. As one of them, with this newer layout, is the run up to Brooklands before they go to left field and Woodcote. As they make their way through left field all the way to the slight right-hander, down the old pit straight and start and finish line section. As a couple drivers went wide, everyone basically has gone clean so far and has started to enter a drafting train.
And the draft does play a role in these cars, and it will play a role quite a bit here for today as they working their way out of turn 9, heading toward the S's of turn 11, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Yeah, going through Meggetts, approaching now Beckett's. Beckett's the sharper right-hander you see right here. And many of the drivers not afraid to use the rumble strips. The main thing, though, that can cause the damage is, from what we've seen in practice a bit, Adam, if these drivers hit the brakes too hard, you have the chance of damaging the front nose by scraping on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything to mess up that aero. Ove Trangerade actually trying to modulate that throttle a little bit there, working his way through 15, and he almost broke loose on him right there.
Yeah, that was one of the main things, too. Some of the top drivers were even drifting through some of these corners as they make their way to the end of lap number 1. Still in the lead, though, is Trangerade. Second is Claridge. Third, Olenek. Pawlowski in the drafting train. Daniel Sandro still trying to stay within reach as well, as all 4 of these drivers with a good pace to start in the 2-minute range to begin the race. You can see how deep these drivers are willing to take the breaks in some of the corners.
A lot braver than I would be in this car. This car can be a handful if you let it be, but so far, very, very clean race out there. Ove now starting to separate himself out just a little bit between Mick Claridge and Rob Olenek, but at the same time, we've already seen that gap evaporate several times here for today. Starting to see a little bit more sliding, a little bit of that power slide going on with all 3 of your top runners so far.
Indeed, you look right now from Trangerade from the right front tire as he tries to drive his way forward and away from the rest of the group, which again, as you mentioned, going to be difficult when you have all those drivers being pulled in by the trap. Should note one thing, we do have a biggest mover ready, Michel Dugnon, already up +5 in the race. He's about to reel in P7 as well, just entering the draft of Kika at the moment. He started 13th.
Yeah, moving up in a hurry. He's moved up 5 spots. Also worth noting, Jan Hoffman has moved up 4. So already seeing some guys go toward at least into the top 10 and trying to make their way up from there. These guys have already fallen off, though, about 3 to 5 seconds of your leaders. So right now, they're just trying to get into the clean air and try to start making moves forward if they can, at least time-wise.
Indeed. So right now you can see how much the time is being picked up. Again, some of these drivers were trying to play it with everything to make sure they can get the setups. It is a bit of a trickier track since it's a newer circuit, and even guys like Claridge, who are still currently in the 2nd position, we should note, were trying to adjust everything, including the gearing, to make sure everything was just picture perfect. He just had the fastest lap, by the way, on the racetrack.
Yeah, and with that fastest lap, he's closed up right to the back gearbox of Ove Trangerud. Just trying to do something. And it's worth noting that fastest lap time is a 59.39, and you've got Rob Olenek back there not far behind. Actually, all 3 of your leaders setting very, very similar lap times that last time by.
Indeed.
Oh, look at that.
Bit of a bobble from Trangerud, nearly going to the back end that time as Claridge forces the outside Olenek as he tries to bank it off the corner. That was near disaster that time for old Trangerud as he now runs his way down the old pit straight.
For a moment there, that allowed Angelica Pavlovsky to catch back up to that front 3 as well. So now you're right back to a 4-car train for the lead.
Should note that the man in 2nd position also just so happens to have this week set the world record for this car on the track with a 159.192. So keep that in mind. A majority of the time so far in this lead group have been times you would be able to see inside the top 10 in the world record ranking. But one driver had some trouble. Coker is already the first driver off the racetrack, all the way back now to 21st in the garage area as the leaders continue to fight. We'll continue to fight along and see what's going on with these leaders here as the fight continues. And you have to wonder here, Adam, what's the strategy? Do you elect to stay inside the draft and wait for the right moment, or do you try and go for the lead if the opportunity strikes as soon as it opens up?
Well, first part is you don't want to get too separated, and I'm a big fan of trying to take those moves when you can, especially in what ultimately is going to be a short race. I mean, we're clicking off laps pretty good. We're already working lap 4 now, so before you know it, we'll be to the end of this race. And as history has shown between this season and last season, that these cars will become racier toward the end of this thing. So if you have a look, take it now.
Indeed, someone just took a look. Bruce Nelson had a bit of a bobble in P number 8. He had just had a look of that spot. Instead, he lost the grip on the corner exit, trying to run all the way around the rumble strips, going through the loop. And he's seen the opportunity, almost took it, and almost took it to the grass instead, and ended up falling back to the 9th position, and Bill Tyler moves back to P number 8.
And all that ground that he was working on trying to gain, he lost it with just one move, which, by the way, Dugnaung now up to 6th position with all that. So he's up another little bit. So that's I believe 7 spots since the start of this race.
Indeed it is. That is 4 seconds as well in front of that battle we were just keeping an eye on. Was able to pass by Kika in the past lap or so. So with 14 laps to go in terms of his pace, Dugnaung setting 2-minute flats. The problem is everyone in the lead drafting train is running 159 5s to 8s minimum. Let's head back towards that way, Adam. Pardon me.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dugnaung there, really, he's at this point, he has to hope for something to happen with that top group to gain any more spots. You're not going to do it by just being a 10th or 2 slower or faster at this point.
What do you do, though? Because a lot of these drivers in this group here have the help of the draft. That's going to help them.
Grab the grass. He's going to lose some spots here. He's trying to fight back. Back on the track, he's at least going to lose the lead. He looks like he might be able to hold off Rob Olenek here, and indeed he is.
Yeah, absolutely clipped the grass, trying to run around the rumble strips that time, going to the farm curb. Let's take a look at this on the replay and listen on as he squeals those tires. An absolute massive save first off to keep it from going off towards that left Armco barrier, but ends up losing the lead in the process by at least now 6 car lengths. A major mistake that time by one of the better drivers on the iRacing service for these road courses.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Mick Claridge needed there. Now he needs to try to expand that gap just a little bit, but already it looks like Ove Trengerade is at least got back into the groove and possibly even starting to gain back on Mick Claridge here. That still was a big mistake, but that can happen with these cars. You wide rear tires, you grab that grass just a touch, next thing you know, it's trying to go around on you.
He also has a couple drivers still behind. Nick Claridge are looking along, as behind them Olenek also lost a bit of time. Pawlowski was also still able to stay in this drafting train. They have pulled away a bit from Daniel Sadro, as that is all developed, we should note. And they're about to reach lap traffic. Remember Colin Coker? He is now about 10 car lengths up the road from the race leaders.
We'll see how well he's able to stay out of the way. His car is damaged. He actually, in his incident, rolled that car a few times, so he will be off the pace when the leaders catch him.
Indeed, just looking at the race leader, how close that nose is getting, just enough to scrape the paint and damage that front end. Claridge, in fact, did damage the front nose. You see it just slightly bent up from that left front angle, and that's going to affect the aero as he's now inside the drafting of Colin Coker, the lap traffic we mentioned, gaining 4 or 5 car lengths that time in the braking zone heading into Brooklands.
And when we're talking about aero, where that's really going to affect you is going to be your straight line speed, of course. So that might be down just a little bit. And if I'm Ove Trengerade, that'll be where I'm planning on trying to make my next move. Is planning on right at the end of the straightaway trying to jump out, not necessarily dive bombing, but maybe making a late move that makes it a little harder to defend.
The interesting thing with Trengerade's case, it seems like he set up his car a little bit looser, do you think, Anna? Because he's nearly snapped around coming onto the old pit straight that time by, and is really sliding those tires this time through Beckett's into the Chapel curve.
I come from more of an oval racing background, and I'm going to use the adage here: loose is fast. And
yes,
he, and that very well could be right there. Why they're setting world record, setting laps, is because maybe he does have a looser setup. This car as it is a slow in, fast out kind of car, and loose setup might actually be beneficial here, but you just got to be careful. And just kind of updating, we talked about the weather here, and the track temperature still has actually kind of stayed the same, so it's still sitting at 81. That actually will probably work in Ove Trengerade's favor here as we go along.
I think potentially as well. By the way, Trengerade, despite all the sliding and despite the bobbling right there, setting a second best world record time that time by, with the fastest lap of the race, 1:59.227. But to get to the slipping and sliding, again, 2 things. These cars have been doing it throughout the practice. And 2, you have to have the confidence. Trengerade having lots of confidence to push the speed of this race car as he continues to try and chase along for the race lead. P9's heating up, though, a little bit, potentially, as Jan Hoffman is holding on Matt Yeomans. Also have Bruce Nelson. He ended up there, who cycled back. It's now a 3-car fight at the moment for P number 9. Let's keep an eye on this battle right now, as Hoffman is still trying to now pull away from this group. He had a 2:03.3 last time. You can see the difference in the lines out of it.
Yeah, everybody seems to just kind of have a different way of getting around here. Of course, with it being as new as it is, doesn't exactly surprise me. I think it's about only the second full season I think this track will be around. Maybe the third. I don't know. It all blends together now. But either way, though, you're still learning it in this car. And this is a track that, as we talked about, wasn't, Silverstone was around, but it certainly was not this configuration when this car was on the track. So it's definitely quite a bit of a different animal.
Have to agree with you on that, and these drivers have taken the week to adjust to everything, as mentioned, setting things up to handle this course. But it looks like at the moment, just a slipstream train at the moment for P9. About 25 seconds already behind the race leaders, which is astounding.
Yeah, the leaders of this race still setting an incredible pace. Now, Ove Trangerade, you mentioned that was the second best lap time a little while ago. Well, he just set... Did I just see Pawlowski come across purple?
Yes,
59.233. I was just getting ready to say Ove just set another second best world record time, and then Pawlowski was like, "No, sir, we got to break up your name on that leaderboard," and just took it from him.
You're looking on board from Roman Pawlowski at the moment, still in the 4th position. This is in the draft right now of Olenek. Olenek a little bit more slippery that time, heading into left field and working the way towards Woodcote. No one's made the move quite yet, we've noticed so far. But that might change because Trangerade's got a bit of a run this time behind Claridge. Claridge taking the defensive line, while to the outside goes Trangerade. They both slide. Both of them save the back ends. Claridge still holds on for the time being, heading towards Meggetts.
This is still so tight here. One little slip up, and look right there. Ove Trangerade bobbling. He's trying to hang on to it. He's able to get it back straight. That slows up Olenek and Pawlowski just a little bit. But it's bobbles like that, they'll come back to haunt you.
Yeah, both of them went sideways that time you seen at the cops. This time, a dive from the inside. Olenek locks up the brakes just to the left side of this red machine. Trangerade able to hold on to second, though, as he plays the defensive line out of Vale and into the club section. Bit of a harder charge on the gas by Olenek, forced to get off the gas for the exit, heading back to the start and finish line. Still 10 laps to go, halfway next time by.
These guys still going this hard, just setting incredible lap times. Well, at least not that last time, Bob, but that's what the track record has been. And just setting sail from the rest of this field and just going to settle out amongst this 4. This is how the Lotus 79 has been now for quite a while. And if you're not driving this car, you're missing out, because these battles always end up being incredible here on these early Saturday U.S. mornings.
And this was what was discussed a little bit. The potential look at that dive as Rob Olenek tried to send that from 30 feet back. Ends up still holding on to third as he nearly missed the entire corner and then some. Let's take a look on board from the number 2 machine as he's trying to reel back in second position. Still about 4, make it 7 car lengths back after the dive bomb. Trying to set himself up. I think he feels he might have a chance on Trangerade at least for second position. He was, again, as mentioned, one of the top drivers this entire race and was the fastest in the practice session prior to this.
Yeah, and I mentioned also, too, talking about how, if these guys might try to make moves early or taking moves when you got them, there's also a certain degree here of feeling each other out. Yeah, these guys run up front all the time. Yeah, they're used to racing around each other, but they're not used to racing around each other here. As we're watching Olenek, Olenek really slides that thing. And then, looking at a big bobble from Ove Trangerade. But, go ahead.
That Lotus 49 definitely drifting that time. Lucky to not lose too much time, but you have to wonder how the heat is going to be on those rear bigger tires at this point with how that big of a drift. This time, not as good of a corner at a club either.
Yeah, it's easy to get these rear tires angry at you. And I was just watching Ove Trangerade really throw that thing in there, and then Rob Olenek does the same thing. This could be a tense last 10 laps here.
Just past the halfway point, mind you, 9 laps to go for these lead drivers. The gap already 12 seconds to 5th position. Claridge able to get the best run out of all 4 drivers as you look as Trangerade still tries to play defensively. Will Olenek try and dive it again? A bit of a hard charge. Again, slides it hard through Brooklands. Uses the curb to stabilize the race car.
Amazing what that little bit of curbing will do to do exactly that, and it's unique. Most cars it'll upset, but this car it does have that kind of balancing act if you hit it right. So driving tips 101 right there, but you got to hit it right, otherwise it could ruin your day real quick.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to the confidence you need to have with that. By the way, they are reaching lap traffic again, this time Robert Reynolds in the 19 machine, in P number 19. So they will reach more lap traffic. Last time we've seen the traffic stop along the side of the old pit straight to get out of the way. You look as Reynolds quickly getting reeled in by 20 car lengths in a straightaway. Lets the leaders on by in a cordial manner as he goes to the blue flags. Smart move by the lap traffic to stay out of the way of this battle as quick as they can and respect the blue flag.
Yeah, and it'll be a little while before they catch lap traffic again, so don't have to necessarily worry about that so much. But this is about as spread out as this top 4 has been this entire race. But it's just as I say that, McClaren has a big slide. Ove Trangerade able to get back at least a couple tenths on him.
Meanwhile, something going on with Snelson and Bentley. This just had a pass. This is for 12th position. Snelson trying to move back up. Remember, he was in the fight for as high as P8 at one point. And now is trying to go for the fight. Bentley battle for the race lead, though, coming back. Claridge now under attack. Trangerade wants his lead back, and he wants it now through left field. Trying to go side by side through Brooklands. Trangerade tries to time up the run, this time down the old straight.
That was set up by turn 5. Mick Claridge ran super wide, got into the grass, had to grab it. And now he's in a fight for essentially what could ultimately be the race win. Oh, and by the way, that top 4 pulled right back together.
Indeed, Trangerade having to go back single file, trying to get it done on the outside that time by through comps. Couldn't get the job done. They still have 7 laps to sort themselves. Remember, it came down to tire contact with the top 3 at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We're coming to 4 laps to go at White's Corner. Curious to see how the battle today will turn out. A very wide circuit. Trangerade using all of it to save his car from the drift that time by through Stowe. He is under attack now for 2nd position. Olenek tried to take advantage, couldn't do so, forced to go back to the inside. Back to single file, that time through club. These drivers getting a little bit dancy and a little bit dicey for position now, Adam.
They are, as we mentioned, laps clicking away, now working lap 12. So, we've got 7 to go here, and that's going to evaporate really quickly. And these guys feeling the pressure now. As they've gotten racier, you expect lap times to be falling off with the lighter fuel, but they've actually been increasing here a little bit as they continue to try to push each other. No danger of 5th place on back catching up, so they could just settle it amongst themselves.
Indeed, just have to keep it nice and clean, though. Olenek, the hardest out of the brakes in the top 3 and top 4. Both him and Trangerade drift their way coming out of Brooklands that time. Again, it seems like the best position these drivers have tried to make the pass today, Adam, has been the run out of Woodcote, down the old pit straight, and trying to get it done in cops. That's where they've been able to time it up the best so far, that midway point of the section, of Sector 2. That's
right, and that's, great. You're carrying a lot of speed there into that section, so it's a great place to try to make a move. They've been making the most out of it here for today. Kind of surprised they haven't taken advantage of a few other areas, but they could also be saving that for maybe a surprise move later on. But right now, though, they got to get close back up if anybody's going to make any moves.
Yeah, Claridge got the best run out of all four of those drivers that time. Olenek got the worst of it. As Pawlowski, will he go for the move? No. Again, Olenek responds by overshooting on the brakes, locks up the tires again. It seems like Olenek's definitely got his brakes adjusted to where he can go much deeper than the rest of those drivers. Fight continues on for the race lead. As meanwhile, we had something just happen with the top 10 battle for position. Colin Bentley locked up the brakes a bit. He was looking to try and hold on to the position when this happened on your GSRC replay. Go back one more moment here, as you'll see this right off of Abbey. And a bit of a slowdown and losing at least one or two positions in that section. Got passed by Boleto Casco as well as Bruce Nelson in that situation. Again, that was the battle for 10th position. We're back towards the front, though, where Claridge is still holding on at the moment. Second spot, Trangarade. Third, Olenek. Pawlowski inside the top 5. Still single file for the time being, coming to 5 laps to go this upcoming time by, as these drivers look to shape it out amongst themselves. The question is, who's going to take home the checker flag? Trangarade, bit lost time once again as Claridge continues to hold on to the clean air in the number 3 machine. Claridge trying now to try and break up the slipstream, going to the top line. Down the hater straight, back into Stowe. Trangarade trying to reel him back in once more in the 8 machine. What will Trangarade do once again out of Vale into Club? Elects to go soft on the brakes this time. It looks like Trangarade being a bit patient, a bit of a...
Big curb jumps there from Mick Claridge in both of those turns. Actually, and that was enough that Ove Trangarade actually had to get off the gas to keep from getting into him right there.
Yeah, indeed. You've seen that little bit of a bobble. And now Claridge trying to pull back away again. Going into the right-handers this time. This time, Village back to the loop. Many of these drivers have been running along that curbing. This time, everyone going a little bit more further to the right, trying to match for line, this time down the Wellington Straight. And it looks like one car went off in the grass. Olenek went too wide down the exit of entry. He's now in a fight for 3rd position. Pawlowski giving the squeeze, just avoids tire contact as Roman Pawlowski forced to take it hard on the inside. Olenek rides it loose back on the top side of Woodcote this time. Able to hold on to 3rd position, and that lost them a lot of time, however, to 2nd position.
What happened to Olenek right there, that was almost exactly the same thing that happened to McClaridge just a few laps ago. We saw that. Now they were able to get back together. We'll see if they are able to now, but fighting like that may not be the best thing right now. We know, if I'm Olenek, I know Pawlowski's fast. I'm going to try to follow him here for a lap or two and see if maybe together if we can get caught back up to Claridge and Trangarade.
Pawlowski able to make the move. You've seen that time through comps. Still trying to hold on for the race lead, though. Trangarade on the left side. Claridge, defensive line on the outside line. This time into Stowe. Trying to ride the curbing is Claridge. He's been looking the most comfortable in the clean air, while Trangarade wants to get this lead back. Has the preferred line, has it taken away. He moves back to the top side through Club and gets loose.
In that one little battle, let the likes of Pawlowski and Olenek right back into this thing. They're now back under the gearbox there of Trangarade. And now all 3 of those guys have to work together to try to get back up to Claridge. But all it's going to take is one slip up from Claridge, and, well, we're right back where we started.
Yeah, remember back to last week here in the Grand Prix Legends, it was a gap of nearly 2 seconds for Claridge at one point before the drafting train reeled him back in before that contact, which happened for the race lead, coming to 4 laps to go. We're under 4 to go now here at Silverstone as they go down the Wellington straight to Brooklands. Still about a few car lengths back, and just like that, Trangaray's within the drafting stream once again to the leader. Now it's going to be the question, though, is it too big of a gap, do you think, or no? Or what are you thinking if you're Mick Claridge at this point?
Hey, Mick Claridge, all Mick Claridge can do is drive his race car. He needs to be mistake-free, just needs to hit his marks, don't slide the thing too much, and don't give them an advantage other than anything aero-related to catch up to you. If you could do that, if you can stay mistake-free here, you've got a decent chance of holding on to this thing with how this race has gone here so far. And you got to leave it up to Ove, Trangarade, Pavlovsky, and Olenek to be the ones to try to push hard and maybe do something to their own equipment.
Indeed, it's going to take a bit of fighting. But at the moment, Claridge looking the most stable of the top 4. Trangarade drifting his way to gain time. Pavlovsky still falling behind in 3rd. Olenek starting to drop back from P3 in the drafting train. It is now closed back up just about. Trangarade overruns the corner that time. The first section of the club's portion of the racetrack. Let's see where the lap times are at. 1:59 for each of those drivers. P10 is heating up meanwhile. Snelson trying to hold on, while Borja Valerio Castle trying to gain up. Snelson, a bit of a bobble that time, going his way through the chapel curve now.
Yeah, he was sitting at about a 45-degree angle right there, but so far, Gasol not able to take advantage of it here, using that draft. It doesn't decide to make a move, but Snelson gets loose again. That's going to allow Gasol to get to the inside of him. And that'll be, I believe, once again here toward the inside, or excuse me, the outside there, as they start making their way through Vale and then Club. See what kind of power down Gasol can get here. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough. His wheels slip just a little bit. I don't think he'll have a good enough run here.
Yeah, these drivers have been now running 15-plus laps. The tire is starting to kick in. As there goes Valerio Casal wide, losing about 4 or 5 car lengths.
Little bit of target fixation right there on Casal's part. He got too focused on Snelson's vehicle and blew his braking point for that corner. Now Snelson breaks loose again, and that allows Casal to get back within shouting distance of him, but it might take a little bit for him to gain all the ground back that he lost.
Indeed, right now they're going down that Wellington straight, which is one of the equalizing portions of this track, it seems. Valerio Casal back within the draft. Snelson having a bit of a bobble once again to go wide along the green turfing. Again, this battle for position about 54 seconds behind your race leaders at the moment, who are about to take the 2 to go signal. These drivers going to do so in about half a lap. As you now follow along still with that fight for position. Snelson has Valerio Casal up on his gearbox, the number 9 machine, looking to take it nice and steady to time up the run as they go through the S complex out through Maggots towards Beckett's, back to the chapel curb, coming to 2 laps to go. Valerio Casal with a good run that time, uses a bit of wheel spin to rotate the car, but not close enough to make the dive quite yet.
As a side note, I don't want to take much away from this battle. I'll stop talking if it ends up heating up again. But Michel Dugnon actually just got around Daniel Sadro, and Sadro let him by even though he was seconds back. I think Sadro's worried about gas.
You have to wonder that as well. Potentially, remember, there were questions about the fuel among some of the drivers. You're looking at some of them right now, like Sandro at this point. Did he put enough gas in? It was recommended around 7 gallons or so, but the question, was that going to be enough amongst the drivers in discussions on the iRacing forum throughout the week? Let's go to Bentley and Yeomans meanwhile. This is for 12th and 13th. They're fighting, coming to 2 laps to go with Yeomans. Looking to get the spot, rides the inside, does for the moment. Will Bentley try and go for the switchback? Tries to, but gets wheel spin off into the grass. And that throws that away. The battle for the race lead starting to heat up though with 1 lap to go this time by. Trangarade wants to still attack. Will he be able to time it up? They're getting the white flag this time by from Silverstone.
The lap right before this, McLaren ran a 58.874. We'll see what he comes across this time on the line as they fly toward that start-finish line. 59.6, and of course that difference in the time, well, you can see just how much Ove was able to catch up to him. Just 1 slip-up cost that.
Seen an air slip up there, a bit of wheel spin on the corner entry, trying to send it was Trangarade up the inside of Abbey. White flag here for the Grand Prix Legends' second round of the 2020 Season 1 campaign. Trangarade taking a wider arc, running the rumble strips up the loop. First launch straight is the Wellington straight. He's right on the gearbox of the driver in head. Will Claridge be able to hold on? Remember, this is where many drivers have tried to send it into Brooklands. Will we see Trangarade do so here? Tries to, hits the brakes early. Second best passing zone coming right up next. Trangarade forced to check up this time as they go out of Woodcote this time. Will he send it in? Big run down the pit straight. Backs off the gas early. Might be trying to save this run, Adam, for the Hayner straight.
He's going to have a good run at it, I think, here, too. McLaren just seems like the car isn't exactly what he wants it to be, but he's doing his best to hang on. And don't forget, you have Pavlovsky sitting there waiting in the wing should something happen.
Indeed, Trangarade not the best of runs this time, coming out of Chapo Curve. Will he have enough time to send it? Remember, he was the pole sitter. Claridge, though, the world track record holder, sending it as Trangarade. He drifts sideways, saves it along the curbing as they make their way to the snow. They pass lap traffic with 1 more section of corners to go. Claridge just needs to make it home mistake-free. Mick Claridge, the UK&I Club driver, off the final corner, takes the checker flag and wins it at Silverstone. Second, Trangarade. Third, Pavlovsky. Olenek rounds out the top 4. P10 is still keeping up with intensity, though, as Valera Kessel still trying to hold on as Snelson looks to reel him back in and try and get a top half of the field finish.
Yeah, Snelson just has not been stable the last couple of laps, and Gasol took advantage of it. That's where that stood the last time we saw these two, and I don't think Snelson's close enough here to be able to do anything with Gasol unless Gasol makes a mistake.
Indeed here, as right now, Snelson, not as great of a run. Valero Casal looking to finish the top 10. Again, this is for the top half of the field as well. Out of the final quarter, trying to send it with Snelson. Couldn't get the good run out of Club, however. This time, Valero Casal finishes inside the top 10. Snelson in 11th. Yeomans looking to lead the battle for 12th position behind them with Bentley. And we'll also seal that up. Just 16 drivers finished the race on the lead lap. And what was the thrower today, Adam? Especially in that lead group with a lot of drivers slipping and sliding their way around Silverstone. We'll discuss that and more when we come back. Post-race coverage right after these messages. You're watching the iRacing Esports Network and GSRC live from the virtual Silverstone circuit. took things home today as we're back here at the Silverstone circuit here on the iRacing Esports Network and the Global SimRacing channel. Welcome back to tonight's coverage of the Grand Prix Legends round number 2 here for season 1 of 2020's calendar year. Nick Claridge held on by half a second over Ove Trangerade. Trangerade, the pole sitter, having a stellar ride, as well as Claridge, the world record holder for this car at this circuit. Pawlowski finished in 3rd with Olenek in 4th. Daniel Sadro finished inside the top 5 where he started 27 seconds back. That's how effective the lead draft was to the end of the race. Michel Dudignon finished in 6th position with Marco Kika in 7th. Bill Tyler, he started in 6th, but dropped to 8th position for the checker flag. But Jan Hoffman, one of the bigger movers of the race, +5 in 9th. Valera Casal rounded out your top 10, Adam.
Yeah, going back to 11th position, Bruce Nelson. We kind of watched his some of his struggles, but also some of his triumphs here for today. But he still finishes 3 spots off where he started in 11th. Matt Yeomans in 12th. Colin Bentley comes home in 13th position. 14th could go to Andres Bruno. Ian Bass will finish at 15th. Andrew Ing in 16th. Osmer Schultz, Jasmine Bleach, Colin Cocker, they'll finish a lap down in 17th, 18th, and 19th. Colin was at one point on his lid in his thing. And Robert Reynolds will also finish a lap down with them. And then Rodney Evans having problems late. He'll finish 21st.
The man, though, that had a near picture-perfect race today was Mick Claridge. Had some challenges from behind, also had to challenge for the front and take advantage of mistakes. Mick, welcome to the GSRC broadcast booth, and congratulations on the victory. How are you feeling?
Oh, worn out, man. I'd literally be waiting in the ready for interview booth there, just laying back with my eyes shut. That was such a tough race. I knew it was going to be close like that from the start. You know, everyone has been up on pace, and there's been a lot of racing, hell of a lot of practicing this week. So. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a tight race. It's really such a shame that Michel messed up his qualifying there. He would have been with us 2 there, and he would have been in the battle.
Yeah, he finished in 6th position, was also in a fight for 5th at one point. But I want to ask you, since you're in a fight for the race lead after that mistake from Trangerade where he went and got a bit loose, had to hold on a couple different times. How difficult was it to try and hold on to the race lead? Because it seemed a couple times down that old pit straight, people were able to get runs.
Yeah, do you know what? I've been practicing, like I said, I've been practicing a lot of that. I don't know if you noticed Uwe's line into the slow right-hander before the old straight there. Mm-hmm. He was like, all week he's been drifting that, into that corner. And the first couple of times I've been watching him and thinking, what's he, he's messed up again, but that's his actual driving style. He actually goes through that corner quicker than anyone because he's drifting it around there. So then it gets him a really good, a nice chase on the right-hander there. And I just found that the best way to do it for me was short shift around that corner. And it's not as fast, but the back end doesn't step out. And then you're able to get a nice run down the straight. But yeah, really tough. Honestly, one of the toughest races I've ever had in this car. That was.
Indeed, it looked like an interesting race, especially with the slipping and sliding here at Silverstone. Real quickly as well, though, able to get some more good points on the season after what happened last week at Canadian Tire. How does this feel as a bounce back for the overall championship pick?
Yeah, it's a real bounce back. Like I said last week to the guys that I'd normally do well at Silverstone, and then obviously I realised we was at the new layout, and I never knew that we was at the new layout. I thought we was at historic. So, and I was saying to Rob, and he might touch on it as well, it's really hard to set the car up this week. It's been a real struggle. That's why I've done so much practice. But yeah, it's I really want to be up there on the GSRC. The official race iRacing Championship doesn't really mean much. You have to be in the strength of field races and blah blah blah. This is the one that matters. Sorry guys, just before I go, can I just quickly plug? We're racing at 1930 GMT all week in the 49. If it doesn't go official, we're still racing and we're having a blast. So to the guys that don't look at the forums, just come in, sign up at 7:30 GMT.
I was about to ask, is there anything else you'd like to say that I didn't ask about, or anyone you want to thank before we let you get going again?
Yeah, I want to thank a guy called Carnage. And that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you to Carnage. And thank you for stopping in the broadcast booth. Mick Claridge coming away with the W today. The man who came away in fourth today, Rob Olenek, is standing by with Adam.
Yeah, let me just add, I know Mick was talking about that 1930 GMT time, and that's an excellent opportunity. If you've never driven this car, go out there, give it a shot, because it is a blast to drive. Hey, Rob, up there in the lead pack all day long, and ultimately was only able to finish in fourth position, but man, that was a hard-fought fourth position.
Well, it certainly was. I mean, congrats to the guys in front, Roman, Mick, and Uwe. But man, it was going to take mistakes. It was really, really hard to get a pass here. The straights aren't long enough. It was about kind of running a perfect race. I couldn't take advantage of any of the little mistakes the guys had in front of me, but I had a little one with Roman. He ended up being able to get by and couldn't get it back. It's like I could hang with the guys up front. And it's a tough track, really tough track to set the car up for. Tough racing. It's fun racing. I'm really excited about this season just because I know every single week it's going to be a big competition to see who can win. So it's going to turn out to be a great season.
And you mentioned mistakes, and it seemed like with track being tough to pass, and the fact that everybody was kind of on edge here to begin with, every mistake, even a small mistake, almost seemed like it was amplified.
Yeah, amplified, but it would have had to happen right in the right spot for you to take advantage of it. There was lots of little mistakes happening in front of me, but you couldn't get a run on them, so you end up having to just sort of wait behind. I mean, you try, but you're not going to take it when it's stupid. So it's tough. The end of the race kind of stunk too, because I sort of fell back a little bit, and I knew that it was basically over unless the guys really messed up. But it's fun. I wish Michelle was up there with us too today.
Well, you mentioned the straights not being long enough here. Well, you're going next week, and you go across the English Channel, go down to Le Mans, and that's definitely going to be a place where straights won't be a problem as far as length. How do you feel like you're going to do there?
This car is my favorite car at Le Mans. It's fun. I mean, whatever on the main straight where there's barely a kink in it is a corner in this car, and we end up going 4 wide there. It is a ton of fun. I've been pretty unlucky at Le Mans. Indianapolis and this car and me don't get along, but I'm going to try and fix that this week. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Le Mans sometimes can get boring in cars, but not in this car. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Yeah, this car will keep you on your toes for sure. Well, hey, Rob, appreciate you stopping by here today, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to you next week as well.
Okay, see you guys later.
That was Rob Olenek stopping by. We'll also like to thank Mick Claridge for taking the time to speak with us. Adam, before we say goodbye, your final thoughts after the second round throw.
Well, I think this track kind of exemplified what driving the Lotus 49 is all about, with just you got to be mistake free. Yeah, you're going to power slide, but if you take that just a few degrees too far, you're going to run into trouble, and your small mistakes can add up. And then next week you go to a place where it's just going to be flat out, and it's going to be fun and exciting to watch, and take Mick Claridge up on that 1930 GMT slot. I'm excited to hear something like that. If I was going to be in town this week, I would be joining them, but can't do it. But I will definitely encourage other people to do it.
Definitely take part. It's a fun race car, as you've seen today, and it's a very open community that's willing to help many drivers that are new to the car continue to build and develop their driving skills here in the iRacing service. But we'd like to thank Billy Wright and the entire Grand Prix Legends community for holding what was an exciting race today for round number 2. We'd also like to thank the companies that provide our software and hardware for our companies listed up on your screen. I'd also like to remind you to subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. With additional thanks today goes out to Jubilon, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of our great work. Thanks to the team today in Adam Young and Sean Ambrose. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media at GSR Channel, at Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel in one word, or Instagram at GSRC_Graham. And don't forget to head over to the YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, and don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Next race, as talked about with Rob Olenek, at the Le Mans circuit, the historic layout on December the 28th. Should be an absolute thrower just a couple of days after Christmas. We also have upcoming races for other series listed up on your screen, so check those out and mark them down in your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.